everyone, I'm back and it's good to be here. We are at the very beginning of September. It's been a while, so let's catch up. My last video was mid-June. I caught you up on some projects and then also let you know about some health stuff that I was going through with postpartum depression and anxiety, and I will catch you all up on that at the end of today's episode. So we're just gonna roll into what we know, and that is starting with finished objects. I am checking in at the beginning of August. So the first thing that I'm gonna talk about is just what I'm wearing. This is a self-drafted sweater that I knit out of Pearl Soho's linen quill. The colors are, this light color is pink peony or peony pink. And then this orangey red is red poppy. The hot pink is pink pop. And then the turquoise teal color is vintage celadon. So I had used the red and the hot pink in my half wrap. I had purchased the light pink to make another wrap, and then the vintage celadon was something that was gifted to me and sent to me. So I kind of just used things that I've already had that have been sitting around for a while. And you know, I had started a half wrap a while ago, and then I decided to go ahead and frog it, and I still have all of my yarn in the basket. This is just my designated linen quill basket right now, and if I still have enough to make the blue turquoise teal half wrap if I want to, because I didn't use very much of this vintage celadon at all. I knit the body, the main fabric, the body and the sleeves on a US 3 needle, and then all of the ribbing was done on a US 0. And my thought process behind that was I knew I needed to move down 2 needle sizes so that the ribbing would not flare out, that it could stay straight. But I also wanted the ribbing around the bottom, the body part, to not flare out in the back. I wanted it to stay somewhat close to my body, kind of skimming my body. So not so tight that it's squeezing me, but not so loose that there's that giant gape in the back. That's not something that I particularly like. And so I feel like I'm trying to figure out ways to kind of combat that almost. So, you know, doing short rows at the back of the neck to raise that up a little bit, going down at this time, knock on wood, going down 3 needle sizes to do the ribbing worked out. And now I will say, like, if I tug, I mean, there's still plenty, I still have plenty of room. I don't know definitively whether I can say it's something that I will always do. It might have just been a happy accident at this point. The sleeves are just half sleeves. They're knit straight, and I went ahead and decided to make them half sleeves because I don't want to have to roll up my sweater sleeves and stretch them out and make them look all weird. So this is really just a good length for me as far as if I'm outside with the kids or if I need to do cleaning or dishes or whatever. My sleeves are already up and I'm ready to take on whatever comes my way. Construction wise, this sweater is self-drafted using Barbara Walker's Top Down book. So what I did is I looked up her raglan section, and I kind of just followed her recipe or formula on how to do that. So it's very similar to Andrea Mowry's So Faded sweater. When I made the Montrealer, it also starts similar. You start with the body first and you cast on. So I cast on the light pink first, and you knit flat to build up the back of the neck. It's not necessarily short rows as much as it is you're increasing stitches each time to build it up and then get the crew neck shape. And then once you have the stitch count that you need, you connected it, cast on stitches, connect, and then knit in the round all the way down, go back in the end, pick up the collar and knit your neckband. And at this time, I found that I really like knitting my neckband last, picking up stitches and knitting it, because it adds structure to the neckband, and so it's less likely to stretch out or get misshapen. And I really like that. So, and then everything else was just knit down in the round, and I chose to make it kind of all different funky kind of stripes just to keep it interesting. And eventually I want to make a solid color sweater, but in this season of life I needed something that was, I don't even know that I could call this self-expression. It kind of just needed to be healing and no pressure, and just see how it goes and have fun. So I'll insert a picture so you can see what the bottom half of the sweater looks like, but it has everything that I'm looking for. It is a relaxed fit, but it's not oversized. It's fitted, but it's not tight. It's lightweight. It has a good drape. It feels nice. I haven't worn anything with wool in it for a while, so my skin's not as used to it as it was in the winter, but once it starts cooling down outside and I'm wearing my hand knits more often, my skin will adjust and I'll be just fine. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to mention about this sweater. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below and I would love to answer any of your questions. But feel free also to check out my project page on Ravelry. You'll find this sweater in my projects. I named it All Right Mama, just more like as an homage to the season of life that I was in, or I should say am in. And so there are also details in there. I did not put in specific construction and details and how I did the stripes or anything like that, because I just kind of went with the flow and kind of made it up on the cuff as I was doing it. So I don't know what to tell you there. This is micro striping up here. So it's one stripe of one color, one stripe of one color, and then some thicker stripes. And then at the bottom, I did some slip stitches just to play around. It was knit one, slip one, and then the next one, like the next row was slip one, knit one. So it kind of offset it a little bit just to play with patterning. I didn't want to do anything with two strands of color, although I had contemplated it. I really just wanted to work with one color in a round at a time. So then the other bigger project that I was able to finish was my pink version of Andrea Mowry's Birds of a Feather. I started this in April, so I cast the sweater on the first week of May. I had started this before that. This was cast on in April. It uses Hobby Lobby's Fingering Weight and Plush Blush, which they don't carry anymore. And then Sandnes Garn, I think this is like soft pink or something like that. I don't remember the name. It's on my Ravelry page. This is the third one I've made and it feels fantastic, just like the other two. I knit the main fabric with the US 6 that's recommended in the pattern. And I like to add some kind of edging. I feel like it just looks finished. I don't know. I enjoy doing it. So what I did is, I'm holding this upside down. That looks better. So what I did with the other two, I added a picot edging. This time I did an I-cord edging, And since I wanted it to have some give in it for blocking, I went up 1 needle size. So I used a US size 7. And it blocked beautifully. It feels amazing. I can't wait to get some wear out of this. And then I was also able to cast on and finish 2 smaller projects. I'll have to pop in a picture of the headband that I made for my daughter. And I've made this headband before. It is Headband with a Twist by Marilla Moments. I used some Hobby Lobby yarn right here. I think it's in Rainbow Bliss. It's a DK weight. They also don't have this color anymore. And I used a US 3 needle to make that headband, which is not the recommended needle size, but it was the needle I had, and so I just went for it. And like I said, I'll put in a picture. It turned out really cute, and it stretched out, so now I can wear it, so I think I may need to make her another one. Then also what I made for my daughter is a hat. This is Bluey. So if you have little ones, maybe you know who Bluey is. She is a little puppy dog. It's an Australian cartoon on Disney. And I used the Musselburgh pattern to cast on the top of the hat and work my way down. And then I changed, once I got the body of the hat mostly done, for the ribbing around the head, I switched to a lighter blue and did a cuff that is folded down just to give a little bit of warmth to the ears. And then all of my details are either crocheted or then there's duplicate stitch. The snout and blue section right here are duplicate stitch. Eyes, nose, eyebrows, and ears are all crocheted on, and I just looked at pictures and made it up as I went. And what I can tell you is that it's all the crochet is with a single crochet. That's it. And I think I used a size E or F hook. Now I can't remember, but it's on my Ravelry page. I knit the body of the hat on a 3 and the ribbing on a 2. I think. I think. Check my Ravelry page to double check. But she loves it, and she's already worn it several times. So I will check in with you guys later in the month, and we'll see what else we were able to make. It is currently mid-August. I decided it's a great time to throw on my Hocus Pocus shirt, because the season is upon us, I feel. I wanted to check in really quick with a couple of gift knits that I recently just finished before I have to get them off. So the first gift knit that I finished is another Vertices Unite baby blanket. We do not know whether baby will be boy or girl. Baby is going to be due the first week of September, so I'm thinking autumn colors. And my friend really enjoys like a bohemian kind of color palette. So what I did is I went onto Pinterest and I just typed in boho color palette, found one that I thought looked nice, and then went to the Mother Knitter website and ordered some Sandisgarn baby lanette, which is what I used to make William's baby blanket with the same pattern. And I think I mentioned when I made that blanket for William that the yarn was okay. I didn't know that I was completely in love with it. I think my relationship with this yarn is more like a slow burn. It's not love at first sight. I wasn't super jazzed when I was using it the first time, but the more that I work with it, the more that I do like it, which is why I went ahead and went back and got some for this blanket, because I really liked, they had the colors that I needed, and it just had what I needed. And so I was also able to finish another gift knit that I'll show you here in a second. So I followed this to pattern as far as construction. When it comes to color, I don't follow like use color A and C on this section, whatever. as far as color placement, I do what I want. But as far as construction, I did follow the pattern exactly. I used a size US 6 for the main fabric of the blanket. And then for the I-cord edging, I did go up to a US 7 so that there is some give and stretch. And to finish off, when I did my finishing work of sewing in all of my ends, I did not do the weave in Steven, which I did do on William's blanket, and it looks kind of a bit of a mess right now. So since this is a gift for a dear friend, I did a duplicate stitch to sew in all of my ends, and it looks a lot neater and nicer. Now, I will say, when I finished William's blanket, I thought, man, this thing seems kind of small for a blanket, but I'm gonna tell you, it is the perfect size for a little baby. It's perfect. I have used William's blanket a ton, and so I have no doubt that this will be just fine for the sweet baby when baby comes. After I finished that baby blanket, I had plenty of scraps left over that I knew I could work on another gift knit. My little cousin is expecting her first baby, a little girl, and so I thought I would take the rosy tones from the blanket and knit up a little sweater. I didn't think I had enough yarn to knit another blanket, but a sweater for sure. So this is what we have, this sweet little sweater. And I used Petite Knits Wilfred sweater, mostly as kind of a recipe. I changed out some things from the original pattern. So I did an I-cord bind off at the sleeve and the bottom hem. As far as the ribbing around the neckline, it's supposed to have some little buttons here. I just decided make it easy and just no buttons, make it a plain little sweater. I did my own kind of random striping, and then when I got to the sleeves, I had to debate, do I want to stripe the sleeves or just make them solid? And in the end, I chose to make them solid and chose the two darker tones for the sleeves. So yes, I know the sleeves are two different colors. That was on purpose, in case somebody was curious or concerned. Okay, that's done. Now I'm ready to do a project that is a little selfish and just for me. So those are all the objects that I have finished since middle June to right now, which today is the 2nd of September. So I got quite a few things finished while I was taking time to work through my health struggles and taking care of a baby and all that kind of stuff. It was really good medicine for me, and it helped me gauge kind of where I was on my healing journey. If I felt like knitting or wanted to knit, then I knew I was feeling better. If I had no desire or completely uninterested, then I knew I still had some stuff to work out on. So now we're going to go to works in progress, and I have 3. And let's start with the oldest one first. So I've been working on the Mackworth sweater designed by Andrea Mowry, and I've made some pretty good progress. I have finished the body. This is all using Holst Garn, super soft. The body is in Sweet Pea, and then I just used a variety of colors for the yoke. I don't remember the exact colorways. And if you can see behind me, all of my Holst up there, I got rid of all the ball bands, which in retrospect, I'm probably going to regret. But in this moment, I kind of am like, who cares? I just want to think of it as my palette to work from, and so sorry about that. So I have, like I said, I finished the body. I am on the cuff of sleeve 1, and then sleeve 2 I need to work on. I want to block it and kind of see where I am from there. I used a US 4 for the main fabric, a US 2 for the ribbing, except I used a US, I think this is a 1.5 for the sleeve, just to get it a little tighter. And when I did the color work, I forgot to go up 1 needle size, and it ended up working out just fine as far as the fit. It fits really great, but the problem is around the neckline. The neckline stands up. So I'm gonna see what happens after blocking and see if that will change anything, but I think I'm probably gonna have to reknit the neckline, which is fine because that won't take long at all. It's only like 1 inch. So that's where we stand there. Like I said, it's Holskarn super soft, and yeah, I knit the body to 14 inches in length. That's my magic number for that. And the sleeves, my full length from underarm to cuff will be 18 inches. I believe that's going to be my magic number for my sleeves. And like I said, I'm using the Holskarn super soft. I am going to try washing the sweater with Dawn when I go to block it. I've not done that before, and I heard that that really kind of helps get all of the residual spinning oil out of it. And you know, I've knit other things out of Whole Super Soft and just used regular wool wash, and it was just fine. So I more or less just want to use the Dawn and see what happens. I don't know. So hopefully next time we get to hang out, I'll have this done and maybe wear it. I don't know. I'll keep you posted for sure. The next work in progress is the Summer Shelley top, designed by Nancy Ricci. So I have my first panel finished, and this pattern calls for a DK cotton weight yarn, and I didn't have that, and I didn't really want to go out and buy any, but I've had this yarn. This is an Eden Cottage yarn. This was gifted to me for my birthday from Roz, and I wanted to do something special with it, and I was hemming and hawing, and you know, I've changed my mind a couple of times and I just decided this was the perfect thing that I wanted to make after I saw Nancy post on Instagram and she was wearing it. I thought, that's it, that's what I want to make. So I did modify the pattern so that it would work for fingering weight yarn. And yeah, so the first panel is finished and I have cast on for the second panel. And what I do for larger projects like this is, instead of making myself work all the way through from beginning to end on the garment, I break larger projects into the smaller manageable pieces. I think I've talked about this before. So I finished the first panel. I went ahead and cast on for the second panel because sometimes casting on feels like the hardest part. Sometimes you just need to get started. So once I got to this, then I went back to my Mackworth and started working on my sleeve. So that's kind of what I've done there. And like I said, this is the Eden Cottage yarn, and it has stellina in it. It's beautiful. I love ivories and creams. So let's get you the name here. Normally I remember what the colorways are called, but this one I have Whispering Grass. And I think it's just a really good cream for fall. So even though it's supposed to be a summer Shelley top, maybe, you know, it's pretty warm here in Kentucky. throughout September, first part of October. So really this will get a lot of really good wear. And I'm normally hesitant to make a lacy shirt because I kind of just want to be able to throw something on without worrying about what's underneath it. But there's something about that Shelly top that's just really, really like a lot. And so that's what we're going with. A couple weeks ago, my husband and I were able to go down to Texas for a couple of days around the Austin area, and I decided I needed to bring along a project. I was really kind of hesitant and nervous because I didn't want any of my knitting stuff to get taken from me. And I've read and heard people talking about their experiences, and you can bring different kinds of needles, leave your good needles at home. You can have the TWA or TSA webpage pulled up that says knitting is absolutely allowed. The only thing that made me still a little bit nervous after that was that while TSA says it's okay, they still leave it to the discretion of whoever's doing security check. I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna do it anyway. So what I did is I took my bag that I made ages ago that's just been sitting at home. This was my bag that was perfect for traveling because I have pockets that line the inside, and my project bag fit perfectly inside. And what I decided to do was cast on my half wrap again. So what I did this time, oh dear, I already lost stitches. What I decided to do this time was cast on a number of stitches, I think maybe like 230 stitches. The time before, I went too big. It was too big, everything just fell off, and that's why I was okay with frogging it. This time I only cast on 230, and I only knit on this a little bit on the airplane, and then whenever we had some downtime in the hotel room, I would turn on Emily in Paris on Netflix and just kind of hang out and knit for a little bit. So we're getting ready to go on another trip. My parents are going to stay with the kids. My husband and I are going to go out and visit his brother and brother-in-law, and we're going to go see their kids and spend some time there. So this is going to come with me. I have not touched this since Texas, so this has now become my designated travel project. Now, kind of the bummer that I've learned is about a year or so ago, I've learned that I can't knit in the car. I get motion sickness, which is kind of a bummer because I thought I don't have to look at my knitting. This will be great. When I was younger, I used to be able to do whatever I wanted in the car. I would do Sudoku, I would do word searches, I would read, all kinds of things. And now the older I get, almost any and everything makes me car sick. So I cannot knit in the car, and I can only knit flying in a plane if there is no turbulence. Any bit of turbulence and I feel like I'm gonna puke. So really this is good for when I'm sitting in the terminal waiting, or we're just sitting around and we're not moving, which is kind of a bummer. I did buy some Dramamine to take with me for this flight since it'll be a little bit longer, and it's just the regular Dramamine, so I might end up just falling asleep, I don't know. But one thing I was able to do on the plane was I was able to read a book. So I had asked on Instagram, should I bring knitting or should I bring a book? And there were a couple of people like, bring both. And I thought, you know what, that's a smart idea. And I'm glad that I did. So I was able to start on my half wrap. I decided to bring with me, with the help of everyone on Instagram, because I had a poll. And this was the winner at the last minute. This is Eleanor in the Village, about Eleanor Roosevelt and her time in Greenwich Village. This was a great short read for a couple days in Texas. I was able to do a lot of the reading on the plane. And when we were down
in Texas, I was able to tootle my way up to Waco to Magnolia Market, and I got, some cozy stay-at-home mom lounge around the house stuff. Picked up an enamel pin, and I'm not even really a pin person, but I thought I'd have a pin. And so it was great. I stopped by Magnolia Press, got a cup of coffee, sat down, read my book, had my knitting. It was great. And for this trip we have coming up, I'm gonna bring my project with me again, and I have to decide what book I wanna bring. So that's what I've been up to there. So this will be also my travel bag that will come with me again. And we're gonna be there for about a week. So I don't know what we're gonna do while we're there. And that's kind of like the beauty of it. Right now, for future knitting plans, my only plans right now are to work on my existing 3 projects that I have. I am yearning to cast on something new of my own that I can play with, but I know that the West Knits Mystery Knit Along is coming up. Stephen just posted the update for the yarn kits, and those are going to go on sale tomorrow. I'm not getting one of those kits. All I wanted to know were the yarn requirements, and then I went over to Holst Garn's website, and this year I'm going to do the knit along with Holst Garn Coast, which is their cotton wool blend, just to try something different. And normally I try to be kind of thoughtful and methodical about my colors. And this year I already knew in my head kind of what I wanted, and I kind of just made a quick, fast decision. Will I regret it? I don't know. We'll find out. Did I really need to buy new yarn? Probably not. But, I didn't have the colors that I wanted in the quantities that I wanted, So for September, I'm really hoping that I can just focus on these 3 projects, and then by the time October comes, I know that knit along is probably going to take the entire month to work on. There's normally quite a bit of knitting involved, and then after that I can just cast on whatever I want. But I'm still giving myself the allowance to cast on anything I want whenever I want, if the time is right. Like I said, I have some things that I really want to cast on right now. What I could be doing is to scratch that itch of wanting to cast something on. I could just be swatching for those projects. If I just take a day or two and just get all my swatching, not all my swatching, but get some swatching done, then by the time I finish those projects, I can move on into casting the actual projects on. I feel like I just said projects like 50 million times. Okay, and before I go into kind of like a little health/life update, I wanted to give like a little project update. So I made these socks a while ago, and I had decided, since I don't have a very good track record with knitted socks as of right now, I was only going to wear these socks at night whenever I would have to get up, make William's bottle, and then go feed him, because we have hard floors throughout most of the house, and that's just really cold in the middle of the night. And if my feet were warm and comfortable, it just makes it a little bit nicer. Well, wouldn't you know it, I have another hole. Now, I am fairly positive that this is sock yarn with nylon in it. I did not drop any stitches. I did not get any, there was nothing wrong with my knitting, is what I'm trying to say. Now, from the looks of this, I have yarn. I can graft it back. I could graft it back together, or I could patch it up, darn it, whatever. And I think that it would be fine. And the other sock that I'm looking at, it seems to be fine. It's holding up okay. It looks like there's a little bit of wear. Really, it's all, the ball of my feet must be taking the brunt of everything, because that's where most of the holes are coming from. But I'm also just not sure that this is worth it for me in the end, to keep making socks for myself. I'd make baby socks. Those are quick, fast, and they would last because babies don't walk. But as far as socks for myself, I think I'm just gonna stick with my boring white cotton sports socks that I get at Target or Costco, because I mean, if I have this beautiful yarn, I want it to stick around. I don't know. Throw the socks again. I'm kind of just over it. So that's where I'm at on the socks. Done. I'm done with socks. Okay. Now we're moving into kind of a health/life update. The good news is I'm back like I said I would be. I knew I would come back. This is something that I really enjoy doing. I love getting to check in with you and hear from you what you're working on, and hopefully you enjoy also checking in and seeing what I'm making. So I knew I wasn't going to stay away forever. I knew that I would be back here, and the good news is I'm feeling so much better than I was. When we last spoke, I had mentioned that I had made an appointment with my doctor to get the help that I knew I needed so that I could be the best me I could be for my family. And the good news is that through that appointment, we were able to get me the treatment I believe that's best for me. So I did decide that for me, I needed to have a little bit of medicine to help me regulate all of the things going on in my body that I knew myself I could not control. If there was in any way that I thought I could control this by myself, I would not have called my doctor. I knew that it was going to take something outside of me to help me feel better so that I could take care of my kids the way they deserve to be taken care of. And for me, that meant taking medicine. She also recommended that I do talk therapy, which at this point I'm not doing, only because with 4 kids and the schedule, and my husband's working all the time, and that's just the nature of the season of life that we're in right now. And so we're in Kentucky, it's just us, and I just thought I have enough on my plate. I know eventually therapy is something that if I feel like I need to pursue it, I will, but as of right now, I don't. I have several people that I talk to and confide in, and really the one person that I can talk to right now that kind of helps keep my self in check is talking to my husband. Since we're in this day in and day out together, he's telling me what he is going through, I'm telling him what I'm going through, so that we can stay kind of like on the same page. So we're a team in this together. And as long as, even if he doesn't understand it or get it about what I'm going through, at least he's aware of it and knows about it, and that helps regulate my anxiety. So that's been really good. Talking to my parents has been really great. Talking to my in-laws. I have friends that'll check in on me. My brother's checked in on me. So I have people that, even though if they're not physically here, they're still texting or checking in with me. And you guys have checked in with me as well. And that means a lot, having all of that support, hearing and reading about your stories that you've gone through, the same thing that I've gone through, either recently or sometime in the past, has really been helpful and given me motivation to just keep going, that what I'm doing is right for me and our family. So the medicine that I'm on is mostly for the depression. It's kind of like a generic Zoloft. And I don't mind sharing any of this because to me it's not a big deal. If that makes sense. Like, I don't have any stigma or anything weird surrounding it. It doesn't bother me to tell you I take a generic Zoloft. It's a small dose, enough to take the edge off so that now I enjoy and look forward to things, which before, slowly over time, my mental state became that even if I wanted to go do something, it was such a hassle to go do it. I'd have to get all the kids ready, and then when we get there, and it'd be all this work and blah, 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 so that I basically would talk myself out of it. And I do think to a certain extent, the isolation of COVID exacerbated my feelings and thoughts about going and doing things. But because it happened slowly over time, I didn't realize how bad it had become until it got too bad. So, like I said, I take the Zoloft and that's basically taken away any of the depression that I had. I still have some bouts of heightened anxiety, and I do also have a medicine that I can take for that, only if I absolutely have to. And I kind of just use that in case there is an emergency and I really am in bad shape. Knock on wood, I haven't used it yet or felt like I needed to use it yet. Now, after we got home from Texas, the kids were sick with some kind of virus. We didn't know what it was. The big kids had runny noses and a cough, and I tried to keep all of the kids away from William, except that our 3-year-old is home with me all the time. Well, they didn't go to school when they were sick, but the 3-year-old, being 3, she just wants mommy. She doesn't feel good. So if I'm feeding William and trying to take care of him and she's on top of me and she's sick, I'm sure you can guess what happened. William got sick and we had to take him to the hospital. I just had this feeling that for him, I was like, this is more than just a cold. Something's not right. His breathing is labored. He's throwing up. And it's not just baby spit up. Like, it's not like, oops, he ate too much and spit up. This isn't right. My intuition was just like, something's not right. So we took him to the ER, and my husband's intuition was like, hey, can you guys check his oxygen levels? Because they were gonna send us home. And I'm so thankful that my husband had them do that, because they found out his oxygen levels were low and he was having labored breathing and he wasn't keeping food down. So we got admitted for a couple of days. And while I was in the hospital with him, I had kind of highs and lows with anxiety. And sometimes it would depend, like, oh, did he throw up again? Sometimes it was the energy that somebody would bring into the room, whether it was like a nurse or a respiratory therapist, whatever energy they brought into the room, like, really affected my anxiety. There were some nurses that were great and fantastic and awesome and just helped soothe William, but also soothe me. And on the other side, there was also some nurses that came in that were like, they were go-getters, they were getting stuff done, but all of that energy that they were bringing in was like, it wound me up. I was feeding off of their energy. And I stayed with William most of the time in the hospital, except for the very, very last day when it was time for him to go home. I hit a wall and my husband sent me home. I was having an anxiety attack when he came in. William had thrown up that morning, and I had him in his own little, cozy clothes. He was off of oxygen. He was done with his IV. He was doing just fine, but he threw up that morning. And They put him in a little hospital gown. So seeing him in the hospital gown on top, because he was just in diapers the entire time we were there, because I held him most of the time. But seeing him in the gown, and then the energy that the nurse brought in there, like the anxiety got to a point where I couldn't calm it down, and I began spiraling, and I felt nauseous, and I had chills, but I was also sweating, and I felt hot. And it was just at that very last minute when my husband walked in. He was about to go to work, and I had to go home, even though I knew that William was fine and they would probably send him home that day. I had to come home. Like, I was in bad shape, and I also hadn't slept for like 2 days. So that would have probably been a time where I needed to take that anxiety medicine I have for emergencies. But I knew once I got home and I got to sleep, then I should feel a little bit better. And by the time that I woke up and I realized what had happened, that I had had an anxiety attack, I kind of just decided, this isn't okay, and I'm not gonna let this beat me. Like, what causes this, and how do I lower that? And I am gonna get better. Here are the things that I know that I can do to feel better. I did sleep, I took a shower, I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna move my body, and all that kind of stuff, because I really don't wanna have to take that medicine. So that's where I am right now. The depression is at bay right now, and depending on certain situations, my anxiety can become heightened again. But that's really and truly, that's normally quite rare. The fact that I've had all of this happen within the time frame, William is almost 3.5 months old. Within 3.5 months, there's just been a lot that has gone on, but that's normally not day-to-day life. Like, this is a really rough patch in the season of life. And now that the kids are back to school, the girls are back in dance class, we got Sam started in soccer, the hum of life that I'm used to during the school year has been really helpful. So there's more normal coming ahead. I think that'll be really great. So I think that's everything. I'm doing well. The kids are doing well. William is growing and thriving. He's doing fantastic. He's getting so big. And I don't mean that like all babies are growing and getting big. I mean, like, he's 3 months old and is in like 6 to 9 month clothing. So if you don't know, our history of kids is our kids tend to be pretty large babies. So he's doing great, I'm doing great, family's doing better. And I think that's everything to catch you up on since I've been gone. And like I said, hopefully I can get back into the regular filming schedule that I had, where I upload at the end of every month. But I also know I don't want to say coming out of the season that we're in, because I mean, who knows what the future holds. But having gone through this season that we are going through, we're just going to give ourselves some grace to say, here's what I hope for, and God willing, if it is in His plan, then it will be carried out and it'll be good. So hopefully I'll see you at the end of September, and I look forward to it.